Broads Media.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Let's talk about Jalen Hurts and the direction of the Philadelphia Eagles. Real quickly, if you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. Come join the Broads Media party. We have a lot of fun here talking Philly sports. If you're looking to buy tickets to go to any NBA, NHL, NFL games, you can use promo code BROADS at SeatGeek's checkout for $20 off of your purchase. So all those fees you get hit with towards the end, and you go, what the hell? What the hell is this? This is 20 extra bucks. Forget about it. I'm here to give you that $20. Promo code BROADS, SeatGeek's checkout page. And then lastly, TikTok. We're implementing a lot more over on TikTok at Broads Media. Make sure you hit the follow button there as well. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. With that, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. Okay, the question really comes down to, what did that last game against Tampa Bay really tell us about Jalen Hurts and the future of the Philadelphia Eagles at the quarterback position? We're also going to take a bunch of anytime hotline calls to hear what you thought instantly as soon as the game ended. So I'm sure that's going to be fun and entertaining to react to as well. But I want to start off the show by reading a thread that I tweeted out there on Sunday night after I hosted on The Fanatic. I went back and forth with people all show long, and I truly had a fun time doing it. I understand where the mindset is for some that don't believe in Jalen Hurts. Now, I feel the obnoxiousness goes too far, and some people take it to the extreme, which then sets off something inside of me where I will attack, and I'll go full at you here, and I'll explain why I feel that way. But I think this thread perfectly describes my angle and where we're at. So, if you don't believe in Jalen Hurts, you may be right by the end of this. But I want some sort of closure. Did he learn anything from this dreadful playoff loss? There's only one way to find out. Get there again next year. So with that, let's run it back. And let's add some more context. The Sixers won 7 straight and then lost to the Charlotte Hornets. What did that mean? I didn't know until I saw their matchup against Boston and Miami. Same applies here. What did the season for Jalen Hurts really mean? I don't know until I see what he does next year with this information and with this experience that he just went throughout this first year as a starter. How he improves or how he doesn't improve enough will tell me the information that I'm looking for. And finally, before I end this thread, if the Eagles do elect to find a new quarterback, okay, let's see who and what it took to get them. Maybe I will like that option more. I believe building defensively long-term with youth is a priority, though. If Hurts fails, you can still find the next guy while properly building your roster right now so it's not really wasting time or anything like that, because you still need those holes fixed. And there's ways to fix roster issues while still giving Jalen Hurts that opportunity. And then from there, you make your assessment. If we're sitting in the same exact spot next season, and at the end, it's a mediocre year, and you don't know, and you're saying, well, maybe. Well, then the answer after 2 years is, all right, let's look in another direction. I'm just anti 1 year, and I feel that, and that's for a lot of things. I don't like Jonathan Gannon, and I know everyone's trying to play that game right now. Hey, Minnesota, you sure you don't like Gannon? I'm willing to give Gannon another year with more bodies, with more players, with more actual personnel. Maybe there's something else to it. Bad organizations rock with guys for 1 year. Now, there's a difference between, you could tell J.J. Arcega-Whiteside just don't have it. All right, you could tell some players are just not capable of playing in the NFL, but that ain't Jalen Hurts. All right, Jalen Hurts is not a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. All right? Look, he's got ways to go, and being annihilated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Todd Bowles, while it makes sense, it's a good learning experience for this kid to go back to work, to watch the film, to study, to analyze, to continue to improve and put everything into his craft, and we'll see what that means. Everyone says that he can't will you to victories like Justin Herbert did against the Oakland Raiders. By the way, the Vegas Raiders. He didn't win that game, but yes, there were some fourth quarter moments and fourth down situations where his arm was extremely talented and helped you win. But with Jalen Hurts, people say he can't throw the ball. It's about reading the field, scanning the field. It's that. And I do feel once you get experience and understand what the NFL life is like and what the speed of the game is like, there are players who can learn that more. That's what he needs to get better at. Going through his progressions, looking at his wide receivers more, right? The ability to find guys, not scan the field, leave the pocket, and then try and make a play after he escapes a safe pocket with guys running their routes, waiting for the play to develop. The instinctual part of the game. But when you see what it's like, when you understand after being through it and in the trenches, that's something that I firmly believe that you can adapt to, and we will see. We will see. I don't know if he is the answer forever. And quite frankly, if I'm being honest with you, which I have all the way to this point, I don't think he will be. I don't think he'll be here for 5 seasons, okay? But with that said, I believe in sports. Not that I believe. I know that there is something to be said about growing pains and young players failing. Joe Burrow is an anomaly. Kyler Murray looked awful in the playoffs on the road against Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, the LA Rams with their amazing defensive player Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. Did you ever hear of Von Miller? Kyler Murray looked lost and he was seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold. Mac Jones got annihilated and obliterated by a Buffalo Bills team. Let's look at Dak Prescott. Underachieved significantly, but I still like Dak Prescott. He's a good quarterback, and I would rock with Dak Prescott every day of the week if I could say my franchise had Dak Prescott tied to that specific franchise. I like Dak Prescott. My point is, inexperience in the postseason, it's a thing. It's a thing. And to demand everybody to be Joe Burrow is just not the case. So, I will say, I do have my questions about Jalen Hurts, and it's very valid. But I just can't throw away everything after 1 year and say he will never be able to do something. You might be right. At the end of it, you might be right. There's not enough information after 1 year of starting to say that that's absolutely true. Because this kid, he's a workhorse. He's determined, and he has taken strides this season, whether you like to admit it or not. And here's where I'm going to push back on the people that said they suck, they didn't beat any team that was actually good this year, and they made the playoffs because of that and because of adding a wild card team. Yes, there is a new addition to the playoff system. You're not going to change that. Making the playoffs is still better than not making the playoffs when they do add an extra 7th squad. But it's a lose-lose situation, I guess, if you're the Eagles. Because apparently, if they make it and beat the opponents they're supposed to, they'll get obliterated by their own fan base by saying, who cares, you beat nobody. But the alternative is, you're not good enough to beat Washington. You're not good enough to beat the Jets. You're not good enough to beat these bad teams at the end. Wouldn't you rather be in this situation than not? Could you imagine if they couldn't beat Washington? If they couldn't beat the Giants when they needed to towards the back stretch? You'd be ripping them and destroying them for being pathetic and can't even beat a horrendous Giants team led by Mike Glennon. So while I understand context is needed and it matters to say they were playing weaker opponents, fair. The whole league played weak opponents this year because the league wasn't very good. And the Eagles, who can't control their schedule, won the games they were supposed to win. From a big picture standpoint, we knew that this team was going through a rebuild. And with that said, this team, their first year in that rebuild, beat the teams they were supposed to, had a hiccup against the New York Giants their first time around, but for the most part, beat the teams they were supposed to, lost to the teams they were supposed to lose to, and this is where we're at. For a first year of a rebuild, we have to keep ourselves objective here and say that's not a terrible spot to be in. It's not the end goal, but it's a 5-step process, a 4-step process to get back to where the Eagles organization is looking to get back to. And the fact that this is year 1, it's a pretty damn good first step. You can't lose sight of that. even though Jalen Hurts had a bad day at the office. He was awful. He was really bad. But I can't lose sight of what the Eagles are right now, who they are, and where they're trying to get to, and the process to do so. So with Jalen Hurts, I'm willing to rock another year. And I don't have a problem with that at all. If they go in another direction, I won't have a problem with it either. I think both make sense. I do. I think both can make sense. But for the people who say anyone but Hurts because he's not good enough, well, that's foolish. Because if you're just going to upgrade a little bit, let's say you draft someone in the first round and he is what he is, just a little bit better than him. No. You still have to value the other assets that you need, the other positions that you need, defensively, players, and all that. So I'm not just doing it for a tiny bit of an upgrade. It's either your full-on guy or Jalen Hurts has done enough to deserve this opportunity. He had his ups, he had his downs. Can he become a better pocket presence and throw the football where he needs to? I thought Brandon Lee Gowton of Bleeding Green Nation, I believe that's who it was, put this out there, and he wasn't being jerk-offish about it. It was just a general question out there. Has there been an organization that held on with patience and it worked for them? And has there been a team that pulled the trigger too quickly on a trade at the quarterback position and it backfired? And the results that you were getting for both sides was, well, Drew Brees going to the Saints. You can make the argument that the Chargers made a move too quickly, but there were injuries involved. And then the Raiders. I would say Derek Carr being your leader and the head of the franchise, for them to hold on, it ended up working out and benefiting them. You can make the argument, I guess, too, with Dak Prescott. There were some concerns there, and I get it. It's funny to mock them, and it was embarrassing the way it played out. But still, I mean, I like Dak Prescott, and I think that he's a quarterback in this league that if you have him on your franchise, you're definitely not in a bad spot. And I know they have weapons and they underachieve with their weapons. There's a lot of systemic issues happening with the Dallas Cowboys organization. And it starts, we know about Jerry Jones, but Mike McCarthy blows. Mike McCarthy is absolutely pathetic. And you need a good tandem all around to succeed in this league. Yeah, the outliers of the Tom Brady's of the world, anyone could be their quarterback, their head coach. I could be their head coach. But then the other sides, the Derek Carrs, the Dak Prescotts, that tier of players, you need a good tandem. They don't have that whatsoever. But I digress. That's kind of where I'm at with them. That's how I feel about it. And I'm disappointed that they didn't utilize DeVonta Smith more. And, there's an argument going around with Jalen Hurts where it's his fault for not looking in that direction. But my point is, if you're the head coach and you realize it's 17-0 and you have yet to look in DeVonta Smith's his area and you've yet to target him and you've let to look in the direction of DeVonta Smith, you don't just allow that to keep happening if that's a Jalen Hurts problem. No, that tells me it wasn't incorporated into the damn game plan. Because if it was and it wasn't happening, you'd say, yo, Jalen, what the fuck are you doing? But that wasn't the case. Still being spread around to everybody. It was obvious that from the jump, Nick Sirianni did not apply the proper game plan for Jalen Hurts and DeVonta Smith to take advantage of some matchups based off of what Todd Bowles was doing and putting a lot of guys in the box to force you to throw the rock. It wasn't just, well, they forced you to throw it and you failed miserably. Sure, from a very broad perspective, yes. But then it comes to the game plan of the team and what they thought that they do heading into this. And they were terrible at it. They didn't expose some of the weaknesses just from before snap. I'm not even talking after the snap. Were there plays left out there? Yeah, he missed Quez. And he missed DeVonta Smith at one point in the end zone. But ultimately, they weren't taking advantage of what Todd Bowles' scheme allowed for them to take advantage of enough for my liking. And they just kind of let that go by the wayside. And that's a problem to me. So it's a bad taste in our mouth for sure. I heard callers all throughout the day on Sports Talk Radio go down the road of, I saw him wide open from my TV. How did Jalen Hurts not see? Dude, what? I'm sorry, excuse me? You saw him on your TV open, so you're assuming that that's the same as standing in the pocket with 300-pound men chasing you down, and it's embarrassing for Jalen Hurts to miss that play because you saw it on your couch? Okay. There's a lot of problems here with this offense, though. And this goes back to Nick Sirianni. If you go look at those first quarter numbers, They do not succeed at all. And it's more than a quarterback problem. They're scripted play. You spend all week long putting together plays that you're going to rock with. And you're going to open up the games to go down the field and have productivity in your ability. And you're going to maximize your team's strengths based off of some of the weaknesses that the other teams show week in and week out. And for what, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, 7, 8 weeks or so, this team got obliterated to start games? That is a game plan issue. And I like Nick Sirianni. I'm just saying, look, they're in a good first step. And I like the way that the trajectory is going. But there are some flaws and some issues. And that's why, some of the harsh reaction of, they're not as good as we thought. They're not as bad. They're not as good. They're worse. They're bad. They're not as good. You got fooled. I didn't need that Tampa Bay game to tell me that this team has problems. Because that's what I'm seeing now. Oh, they need so much help. This told us they need a lot more. This told you that? This? You didn't know they needed safety, linebacker, outside corner, youth on the defensive front, another wide receiver, figuring out your running back rotation, seeing if Jason Kelsey's going to stay or not? Talking about Jalen Hurts, you needed that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I wish they did better. But even if they did do better and still lost, I still know what's wrong with this team, with or without the way that it looked against Tampa Bay. So I just think that that's interesting. It's also interesting to hear Jalen Hurts talk about how he can't be as freaky with his legs, knowing that he had that problem with his ankle and he was in the boot and all. And yeah, I'm sure that limited him in the run game and limited him in the ability to kind of make some plays and things of that nature, and forced him to focus on throwing. But I think that takes away. See, he's never just going to be a guy who's able to do that. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers took the run game away and made sure that they contained him as much as humanly possible. But if you have that element out of Jalen Hurts and he is now questioning if he can go and what he has durability-wise and percentage-wise in his ankle, you take that away. That's what helps him be able to succeed in this league. If he can throw at a good rate and then be mobile as hell the way that he is and be a threat in that department, that's the version of Jalen Hurts that's going to be a successful quarterback in this league. If you take one side of that away from him, well then yes, he's going to struggle and it'll probably be a hard day at the office for this team. It's not an excuse. I'm just saying that definitely was a factor and played a role in probably what we saw in Jalen Hurts' game throughout. We're going to get to some hotline calls here. I wanted to lay that out for you on where I am with Hurts. I like the way that he keeps adding throughout the season. He definitely fell flat on his face, but it takes time for players to grow in this league. And while, if you ask me, will he be here for 5 years? Probably not. But based off the circumstances that you are in right now, and with what he showed you this year in a first-year growth perspective, I could understand bringing him back and rocking another year with him and not writing him off completely, because to say he's who he's going to be forever, you can't say that. This is athletes. This is professional sports and a determined athlete. At the end of the day, his ceiling might be capped off at some point that won't satisfy us. But I'm willing to find out if that's the case instead of writing athletes off before they get the opportunity to fully show it. And one season of starting is not the case. And if you count those 4 games as part of his starts, where his weapons were J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, and Travis Fulgham. Jalen Reagor blows. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside blows. Travis Fulgham isn't in this league. And Greg Ward is, 6th on the depth chart, 5th on the depth chart in wide receivers, with no OTAs and no real training camp and the COVID issues and the head coach being fired and the offensive line being on their 50th combination. I'm sorry, those 4 games in last year, I don't value that towards who Jalen Hurts is when you properly enter an offseason saying, this is my team and this is the direction that I'm going to put this team in. And they ended up making the playoffs. So we'll see what that means moving forward. I'll tell you about DeSimone Jewelers, though. They are my jewelers. I got my fiance's engagement ring from them, and it was the best experience of my life. They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey, previously in Jewelers Row. They work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market. Will, Lou, Nick, and Mike, they treat you like family. So when you walk through those doors, you're a D. Simone. Forget what your last name is right now. You are a D. Simone. They provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs, battery replacement, diamond setting, jewelry cleaning, and much more. D. Simone Jewelers is their website. It's down below in the description. And if you tell them that Brode sent you, they will hook you up. Let me be very clear. If you walk in there and say, yo, Brode sent me, they'd be like, yo, come sit down. Let's have some conversation and let's talk about it. All right? Let's do that. With that, let's go to, I'm just making sure nothing happened while we're recording this show because it's been a little bit of a dead news day and I don't want it to be where I'm recording this show and then within, 15 minutes in, there's a big bomb that ends up dropping on us and then it is what it is. I know that there's a lot going on about like quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, some veteran guys. You can do homework. You can make your calls. It's hard for me to ever complain about a Russell Wilson and complain about veteran players who have a proven track record. It's just I go back and forth in my head, which is I'm excited because they have a lot of picks and a lot of money. If you go get that guy, you lose your picks and you lose all your money. You still have a lot of holes to fix, but it's hard for me to be upset about getting such a special player at the quarterback position, which is the most important prize. All right, with that, let's rock some calls. Here we go.
I can't believe I watched that full game. But if you did watch that full game, there are so many criticisms, questions, and holy fucking shit moments. Like, we wanted it to be competitive, but God fucking damn it. Fuck. Nick Sirianni deserves criticism for things like, I don't know, why the fuck DeVonta Smith wasn't used and you used Jalen fucking Reagor as the primary receiver? You saw DeVonta Smith yelling at him on the sidelines the whole fucking game. I don't want to say anything about the refs because we sucked so bad either way. That shit doesn't even fucking matter. All I have to say about this fucking off season is, Howie, you better do a few things like fire Gannon for one. That motherfucker's trash. And cut shitty players like J-Jaw and Reagor. I swear to God, if I see Reagor one more fucking time, I'm going to lose my shit.
I agree with you there with the whole Jalen Reagor thing, and I can hear the frustration in the voice, obviously. I'm not firing Jonathan Gannon personally. I think that would be too quick and way too... just way too reactionary to it all. I just don't believe that good organizations just fire people left and right every single year. I know that's what this fan base does, and that's what all fan bases do when they're not satisfied with a specific person. Get him out of here, kick him out of town, run him out of town. But don't you see a common theme that whenever someone and it's just whenever someone does something wrong, it's get rid of them instead of let's work through this, right? It's always the simple answer. It's funny. We love guys who put their nose down, put their head down, they battle, they face adversity, they grind, right? They do all the right things to put themselves in a good position to succeed after failing. Yet in the society here in sports, when something goes wrong, just fuck everyone. Get rid of everyone. Forget actually working through it. Forget going through the hard times to become better at what you do. Fuck it. Let's just find the next guy. And it's just too reactionary for me. I'm someone in sports who's willing to give people time to either earn their respect and earn my respect, or you show me that you're not good enough. And 1 year with this personnel, while he could have done better with some of his game plans, sitting back is a very brutal concept against some of these guys. I don't know what you thought was going to happen other than getting picked apart. But with that said, with this personnel, which we know is lacking a ton of talent, I'm sorry, I'm not firing guys just because of that. But it is going to be a very, very fascinating offseason on what Jeffrey Lurie and what Howie Roseman does with this compensation, because there's a lot. There's a lot of draft picks involved. There's a lot of money involved. There's the quarterback position. There's so many areas. It's going to be so interesting and so intriguing. While right now I'm not in, because during Coffee with Broads, a lot of people have been asking me, Broads, who do you want in free agency? Allen Robinson? Do you want to go get Calvin Ridley? And sure, I get it. Once the season ends, you're already thinking about what's next. That's the mentality. I'm still in digesting what happened mode. There'll be a time where I flip the switch and we go towards the draft and we go towards free agency, and it's one big circle. We know the circle of life throughout the NFL offseason, but right now it's still so raw in what we witnessed, and I don't want the ugliness and the brutalness of what we saw last to really dictate your full-on season, even though off-season, that is, even though it's easy to do, and it's fair to have questions. See, that's right where I want to make sure the line is drawn. You can criticize smaller picture, have questions about certain people without saying, well, because it's definitely not the answer we're looking for right now in this moment, that means automatically the best thing to do is get a new quarterback, get a new person in. That's not what it's all about. There's patience involved. Now, in the NFL, you can turn things around rather quickly. I would say for step one, this was a big step. For the first year, after the crazy offseason that was, still a good step. You beat the teams you should have. You lost to the teams that were better than you. And now, here you are. You're a 9-9 football team with a playoff game on the road where you got exposed by a lot of veteran people in the sport. What do you do with that information will tell me what I need to know about the people in charge and the quarterback position. That's what I need for me to have the full understanding. What's next?
I'm going to say it. I'm sorry. I don't like Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry. I know that might be controversial. I just think that he's kind of a dollar store Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson isn't. There's better quarterbacks out there, That's what I'm going to say. I just think that you can win with him. That's cool. But you can also upgrade at the position. And while it shouldn't be a priority, I don't think we should pretend like he's the guy going forward. I think, they really just came out there and shit the bed, And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Nick Sirianni is like a great coach either. I think both Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni are kind of mid, for lack of a better term.
So this is where I have a problem. And you're allowed to not like Jalen Hurts. If you don't like Jalen Hurts, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to say you have to like Jalen Hurts. But for a first-year person in both of these positions to now assume that they're just average people without fully getting enough to know. So this is what they did year one. Carson Wentz won 7 games his first year in the NFL. People wanted Doug Peterson fired after that first year. He responded next season with an NFL championship, a Super Bowl. I don't know why I labeled it that way. He won a damn Super Bowl the next year after everybody wanted him canned because they didn't like what he brought to the table. And at the end of the day, Doug Peterson's not some insane, wild, unbelievable, crazy NFL coach. But my point is, you can't label someone after 1 year and say, because that's what they did their first time around, that's exactly who they're going to be. It's possible they are. You just don't have enough data to fully be able to say 1,000% that is true or not. Bill Belichick, do you think the first time around his coaching tenure, they'd be saying the same thing? Well, that's who Bill Belichick is always going to be. No, Andy Reid, that's who Andy Reid's always going to be. At the end of it, when people were upset here in Philadelphia, this guy stinks, get him out of here. He lost it. Yeah, did he lose it? Ask Pat Mahomes if he lost it. It's just it's a big window of learning and adding and just grasping all of the experiences like a sponge to improve every single year. Even the best coaches in the world are still improving. Are there better quarterbacks than Hurts? No doubt about it. There's better quarterbacks than Hurts. I would say that Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Burrow. I might be missing one. But that's 6 no-brainers, right? No-brainers. How many no-brainers are in this league? Now, there's the next tier, the Carrs, the Daks. But if you can have a quarterback that's in that 10, 11, 12 range. If that's Jalen Hurts' ceiling, 10, 11, 12, let's say, on the best Jalen Hurts, 10, 11, 12, he's in that next tier. Like, you have that tier of the elites that you're not touching because it's very rare to find those level of guys that are sensational. Then you have those next guys, the Carrs, the Daks. If you could have a 10th best quarterback in the league, you could win with that if properly built around. That's why, like, I do think that there's this fascination that you can't do anything unless you have those guys. It puts you in the best position to win. But, like, the narrative that Jimmy Garoppolo can't ever do anything in San Francisco and he's problematic to why they aren't having as much success. Like, if you lose one Super Bowl, you get to the Super Bowl and lose. The narrative is you can never win a Super Bowl with X player. I'm sorry, what? The one game that you lose now says you got there, which is extremely difficult to do, and now you're saying you can never win with that guy once you get there. I mean, I think that's very hard to make that assumption. It's just, as you can see, a common theme here is we make these statements based off of not enough knowledge fully, just very small amount of time on players or opportunities on players. Yeah, there's a limitation on some of these QBs. Only a very few have no limitations. And if you keep trying to move around until you get someone that has no limitations, good luck. You'll be pissed off, trading everything and their mother to get it. We'll take another one.
I really don't understand what all the optimism is with this team. From how I see it, the Eagles are really in no man's land. They don't have a quarterback. The defense is bad. The offense is bad. I really don't see where you go. Everyone thinks, oh, well, we have 3 first-round draft picks next year. Okay, so does that mean next year we're going to win a playoff game? Or where do we go? Because everyone's trying to tell me, oh, we were projected 4-12. We were projected 4-12. We should be grateful we made the playoffs. Okay, if I take that, then next year better be an improvement. And I don't know how you can improve to a playoff win. The Eagles are still so far from that.
I mean, they're not so far from that at all. They just made the playoffs. But, I mean, you must be new here because the NFL is year to year. How many times do you watch a team from one year go to a different level the next year, and then it's flip-flop, and good teams go to average, and average goes to good, and you have so much money in cap space to utilize on free agents. You just didn't even mention the fact that the dead cap money from Carson Wentz is now off the books, which is a huge part of being able to sign some players. How can you watch this year and think that they're lost and have no direction after losing to a team that's going to make a legitimate Super Bowl run? Whether they lose to the Rams or not, you know they're a threat to actually be one of the better teams in the National Football League. So the fact that in year one in a whole new regime, you somehow don't look in any sort of positive direction based off of what they did is just foolish. And quite frankly, it's someone that just demands nothing but Super Bowls every year without actually analyzing the context surrounding who they are and what they're doing. A first-year team implementing a whole new system, a whole new lifestyle. And then, yeah, you have young talent that you need to get with some of these draft picks if they elect to do that. Why do I feel good? Well, it seems like they have a left tackle future player that is unbelievable. You're pretty much your left side of the line in youth is there, which is definitely important because, Jason Kelsey's on the back 9. Lane Johnson definitely has some time left, but he's on the back 9 as well. DeVonta Smith. Like, there's players to be excited about in the youth department as you build forward, and then hopefully we'll add more of those. You got Dallas Goedert, who I am upset with the drop passes, but we still know that he's a special talent in this league. They got a lot. They need a lot on the defense. But to act as if because they got blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first round of the playoffs when they have this first-year starter, first-year head coach, first-year DC, and with some intriguing younger players that we're hopefully building with during the long run here, yeah, it's not a terrible spot. You want to be the Giants? You want to be the Jets? You want to be the Texans? Do you want to be Jacksonville? Do you want to be... And I'm not saying that's the bar, right? But I'm just saying, if you objectively analyze the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles, every year, besides this year, it's the first time in a while, we've entered the year going, they can win the NFC East. They're a playoff team, right? Every year you feel that way. This year's an outlier. Every year you feel this team is going to compete for the division. Don't you? There's something to that, my friend. There's something to that. Because under Jeffrey Lurie, this organization, in terms of playoffs, getting to the playoffs, winning playoff games, they're in the same category as the best ran organizations in the sport. Whether you like it or not, it's real, it's factual, and it's there. Well, it doesn't matter because they haven't won. No, it matters. Because getting there and giving yourself a fighter's chance each year, year in and year out, that's all you can really ask for. Because what New England did, that ain't real. Aaron Rodgers wins 1 Super Bowl. Drew Brees wins 1 Super Bowl. Hell, when was the last time they were even getting a chance to win a second? Did the Saints get robbed 1 year? No doubt. No doubt. My point is, it's that hard to win it. It's more about giving yourself a fighter's chance every year. And the fact that this organization historically does that, I think you're way too negative. Way too negative. All right, there's obviously a bunch more of Anytime Hotline calls I want to hopefully utilize throughout the week. I had a lot of fun doing that. I want to thank everybody so much for listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Bros. Lots of Eagles conversation, clearly going to hit the podcasting platforms here on Bros Media. So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode, and keep your eyes on the lookout for what's to come this week because we're going to have a lot more fun. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.